So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend I post an episode of the series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you the viewers to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week, based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week, the end of the NBA Cup crowned the Milwaukee Bucks, plenty of trade rumors have popped up along the way, and a lot more in-game action has gone down, so we definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Simps, and he basically says that there isn't a single trade that the Warriors can make with their current assets that would make them a legitimately viable contender. It's crazy how fast things can swing in the NBA, because just a few short weeks ago, the conversation surrounding the Warriors' status in the West was starkly different. At the end of November, the Warriors were in second place in the conference standings, while also having been without Steph Curry for an extended stretch that month, so the fact that they were winning at such a high rate while also having the return of Curry to his regular form to look forward to boded pretty well for them as a team, and thanks to the help of some of their off-season acquisitions, there were plenty of talks that the Warriors had managed to retool and get themselves back into the mix. Unfortunately though, the Warriors have lost 7 of their last 9 games since that point and are now back all the way down to 10th place in the West, fighting to even retain a spot in the play-in tournament range. A lot of their early success stemmed from Buddy Hield lighting things up, scoring over 20 points in 6 of their first 7 games this year, but as the Buddy Hield experience goes, it did not last much longer, as he has definitely come all the way back down to earth, and his shooting has cooled off a ton. The team also struggles with shot creation a lot, as Curry is not quite the same creator that he used to be at his current age, and guys like Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga just are not nearly good enough to be a true second option. It's become clear that they need to make a trade, and honestly, I disagree with the original take in that this group is hopeless, because if they somehow manage to land someone like, say, Jimmy Butler, as many rumors are pointing to, then they absolutely will be back to having a real shot. Jimmy Butler wants out of Miami pretty badly, and he tends to thrive most when he's counted out. Butler by no means has dominated this year, but the time that he plays his best basketball is in the playoffs, and if he can elevate his game to take pressure off of Steph Curry in those big moments, that's going to be a very tough duo to shut down. We saw what Steph Curry is still capable of when the lights get brightest at the Olympics this summer. He just needs some help, so if they land a player of maybe Butler's caliber, that may be all Curry needs to channel his Olympic self again. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Mason, and he essentially says that Zion Williamson's career is proving to be a massive disappointment and will go down as one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history. Zion Williamson has been a topic of discussion this week for a few reasons, which is likely why a take like this has been submitted here. And I wanted to touch on this subject partially to address what Mason actually said, but also to equate it to a larger conversation dominating social media as of late. He's right, Zion Williamson did enter the NBA with more hype than I've seen in a very long time, and his legendary status in the basketball world as he was rising through the ranks was nothing short of sensational. In high school, Zion was turning the heads of anybody interested in the sport with his ridiculous in-game dunks and the way that he was gliding up and down the court while also being a freakishly impressive athlete for a player who was also so big and strong. He made his opposition look like children out there, and his dominance continuing in college when he went to Duke only led to the hype increasing even more. At this point in time, basketball media was doing everything in their power to market him as the next face of basketball too, because he so easily grabbed people's attention and played a must-see brand of basketball, wowing crowds every night. The fact that Zion's career in New Orleans has gone down how it has through 6 seasons is incredibly disappointing, even if he is still a very good player, and looking at it from a bigger perspective, I think it has even contributed to the NBA's ratings falling as much as they have as of late. The NBA's sinking ratings have been debated a lot lately, and while there are a ton of factors at play that go into it, I think an underrated contributor is the fact that a lot of the players that have been marketed as the next face of basketball have flopped for the most part. If Zion Williamson was playing the same type of basketball he was playing at Duke, throwing down ferocious dunks and abusing opponents in the paint every night, people would be locked into Pelicans basketball. Other players like Ben Simmons and Andrew Wiggins, who came to the NBA with otherworldly amounts of hype, have also had similarly disappointing careers when the opportunity was there for them to be mega superstars, attracting a lot of eyeballs with the followings that they had as prospects. The NBA is a star-driven league where storylines and entertainment value dominate, so when the leaders in that category fizzle out, it unquestionably hurts the product as a whole. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Kai, and he says that the Kings are the most disappointing team in the NBA this season and are destined to be blown up sooner rather than later. I'll start this section off by saying that the Western Conference is absolutely loaded this season, and separating yourself amongst the pack is a very tall task. The Kings came into the year fully bought into trying to contend for a playoff spot at the absolute least, and every move they've made over the last 2 years has been to do just that. There are also 11 teams in the West right now with a winning record, but the Kings are not one of them. Make whatever excuse you want for it, but that's just about as disastrous as it gets for a team fully bought in. Their offense that was once ranked number 1 in the NBA a few seasons ago is not quite as lethal, and defensively, this group has way too many exploitable holes, making it pretty tough to improve without any more money to spend or glamorous assets to dangle in trade offers. To cap it all off too, star point guard De'Aaron Fox is finding himself in trade rumors now because his agent Rich Paul recently met with the Kings front office to discuss their future plans to try to compete, and the underlying message seems to be that even though Fox is still fully bought in for the time being, he will eventually want to play for a team that can realistically win something, and if things don't turn around in Sacramento quick, a trade request could come about. Honestly, when I look at their situation as a whole, I just can't come up with a realistic end result that has them competing for anything significant, so it really does seem like they are going to end up blowing up this core. Adding DeMar DeRozan this offseason was supposed to be the move that propels them up the standings, but it's had the opposite effect to this point, emphasizing that DeRozan's skill set as a scorer really wasn't what the team needed. Decisions need to be made quick too, because next season is the last year that Fox is under contract before hitting free agency, so if he's not fully committed long term, they may need to maximize the return that they can get for him in a trade before his value depletes as an expiring contract next season. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.